Matt Money Smith here from Believe in Chargers, and I am reaching out to you, the small business owners, to talk to you about my friends at Gusto, because they can help you out. You want to have your hands in everything. It's your business. It's got your name on it. I get it. But how about running that business a little bit tighter and cutting some of the stuff that maybe you don't want to use your valuable time on, and that is payroll, HR. Let Gusto help you get your time back because every hour counts. So what is Gusto? It's an online payroll and benefits software that's built for small businesses. It is all in one. It is remote friendly. It is incredibly easy to use, and you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. What does that give you? Saves time. You got built-in automated tools. You got offer letters, onboarding docs, direct deposits, so much more, not to mention direct access to certified HR experts. They are going to help support you through any tough HR situation. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/believe. That's GUSTO.com/believe, BLEAV. And you're going to get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. Again, that is 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/believe. Again, one more time, gusto.com/believe.
Let's talk about Peyronie's disease, or PD. It's not widely talked about, and some men may feel reluctant to bring it up, but it's more common than you'd think. PD can happen when scar tissue builds up under the skin of the penis, causing a curve with a bump during an erection. That, for some men, may lead to pain during intimacy and impact mental health. A trusted urology specialist can help diagnose PD and walk you through your options, including non-surgical treatment. Visit talkaboutpd.com.
Agents are getting smarter every day, but even the smartest agents get stuck without the right context and the right tools. That's where Notion comes in. With the recent launch of custom agents, Notion became the collaborative AI workspace where teams and agents work side by side. And now, the new developer platform is turning that workspace into infrastructure developers can build on. What's interesting is this isn't just about plugging into one tool. It's about bringing all your agents into one shared workspace where your whole team can actually collaborate. You can connect outside systems, sync in context, trigger workflows, and even orchestrate agents like Claude, Codex, or your own in-house agents directly inside Notion. Learn about Notion's developer platform today at notion.com/true-developer. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/true-developer. To try Notion's developer platform today. And when you use the link, you're supporting our show. That's notion.com/true-developer. Notion.com/true-developer.
Welcome into another edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review, home of Feed the Feed. I am Jacob Milham, starting off this podcast the way I know my co-host loves it, Jeremy Greco. Yes, it is a Wednesday. I was griping all day at work. My feet hurt. I am emotionally exhausted. But I'm here to talk about baseball with my good buddy Jeremy. So all is right in the world for a little bit.
Yeah, my feet don't hurt, but I didn't get in the nap that I was hoping to have. So it was a little shorter than I had hoped for. So my workday also sucked.
I believe it. So I don't know if you ever have these days where like your sleep schedule is just, for lack of better terms, shit.
At least once a month, yes.
At least once a month. So one of the luxuries that I have as, someone who is not the primary parent, I have my niece and nephew here in the house, but I'm not the A or B option. I took Emma to karate. It was awesome. Overstimulating as heck. She calls it punching class, which I think is pretty sick.
You don't punch in karate, dude. Well, I
Correct.
guess you do. You do. They do the
ha,
yeah. Ha.
Just like the motion of it, right? Like that's what they started off with, was a lot of that. So that's why she called it a punching class. Took it there. I felt like I was in punching class because I was exhausted. Came back home. It was like 6:30 and I fell asleep until like 9:30. I laid down and didn't set an alarm. I woke up dazed and confused, like, oh, the sun is still barely up. What is it?
Dude,
morning?
Where's your car at?
Where's my car at, man? 9:30, woke up, like, okay, well, I got some crap I got to do around the house. Do that. And then I'm up until like 2 in the morning. And unfortunately, I needed to take Emma and Elias, her brother, to school or daycare, as it is known by us adults.
Not punching class.
Not punching class. No, we don't have punching class in the morning. It's only on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Specifically the class for not punching.
Correct. Yes, the non-punching class, if you will. I had to take him there, so it was like I got 2 chunks of 3 hours of sleep, which totals up to 6. Not too shabby, but I am a little all over the place. So this should be a fun episode. But some business to take care of first. Make sure that you support the work that is going on over at royalsreview.com by visiting the website. A lot of great work from the team over there. If you want to dive in deeper on the Royals, or if you just want to keep tabs on things a little bit deeper than the box score will show you, we can do both of those things over at royalsreview.com. Also, you can engage with other Royals fans down in the comments section or start your own discussions with the feed. And also, if you're listening to us right now, we greatly appreciate your support. If this is your first time hearing us, hey, we appreciate you being here too. Make sure you subscribe or follow the podcast wherever you're listening to us at. We're on Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, YouTube, whole shebang. Or you can always find our episodes up on royalsreview.com. All right, Jeremy. So there's only been one Royals game in the book since we last spoke, but thankfully it was a Royals victory. Kansas City kicking off a 6-game stay at home with a 5-3 victory over the visiting Texas Rangers, marking their 3rd straight victory and 6th win in the month of June. That's a big departure from what we saw last June, so maybe they can keep this momentum going. Jeremy, I know it was good to have a break from the Royals on Monday. I'm sure it was even better for the guys in the dugout, though, because we saw Bobby Wood Jr. back in the lineup. We saw Jac Caglianone back in the lineup, and we also saw Salvador Perez back. So he was on the field. He was on the field.
He was back in the lineup.
Yes.
It's just certain people found that disappointing. I wouldn't say that I found it disappointing because I want Sal to be healthy, but by golly, I feel like we say this every episode, and somebody pointed it out, and I said I've been screaming it since before the season started. I've kind of given up on it happening. He can't keep batting in the middle. He's batting 4th today because you're facing a lefty. He's so bad right now, Jacob. He had like 2 weeks where he was good, and I don't remember the last time he got a hit.
We're closing in on 3 weeks since we saw his last home run, which that's kind of been the solace point, I will say, for Salvador Perez this season, right? Like, okay, cool. You're not going to be at the heights you once were. I think we've all accepted that. But if you can keep hitting home runs and get that franchise record, I think that's going to wash away a lot of the sour taste that is left in fans' mouths.
I mean, at least until Bobby and Jack can break it, sure.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take that too. Which so I put out today's rumblings. If you don't know what the rumblings are, it's kind of our primer for all things Kansas City Royals and some sports and some baseball also dashed in there at the end. One of the things that apparently aging bats are having a tougher time than usual. Like that, it's a steeper aging curve for these bats. So it's not just Salvi, it is a lot of guys around the league. So it's definitely something to keep in mind as the Royals, try to round out a roster. Maybe they prioritize going younger over going more experienced. Maybe that's something that the Royals pursue in the offseason or at the trade deadline. I don't know. That's all speculation. Back to Salvi a little bit more. Versus lefties this year, he does have a .263 batting average and 3 home runs. So hopefully he gets a little bit more, better performance tonight, because in his last 16 games since May 18th, nearly a month, he is batting just .190. And he is still 5 home runs shy of tying George Brett for the Royals' all-time home run record. His next home run, which at Kauffman Stadium, will be his 137th there. And at that point, he would pass Brett for the most home runs in the history of Kauffman Stadium. So that's kind of the next notch that the team captain can add to his very accolade-studded career.
And he'll hold that record until Cody Clemens.
Who's Ty France? That was the other one. Remember Ty France? Yeah.
They got rid of Ty France. They were like, okay, no more Ty France. Cool. Cody Clemens? Why, Cody? Why?
He just doesn't like it. Just does not like it. Hey, speaking of sluggers, we would be remiss if we did not talk about an absolute career game from Royals outfielder Jac Caglianone last night. I mean, where do you even start? I have to start with the 11-pitch walk that he started the game off with. That was so impressive, getting that against Nathan Eovaldi, who is a very polished pitcher. But then he put the Royals on the board with a 421-foot home run in the fifth. He had to add on to that with a 2-run shot in the sixth that went 431 feet, and then also added an infield single in the eighth and a stolen base. Just a great game from him. And hey, still hitting against lefties, Jeremy.
Yeah, he loves that up and in pitch from a lefty. That was the same location, different pitch that he hit the game tire against the Angels, which is really interesting to me because usually a lefty hates the up and in. That's where you can get him. You can't get Jac there. Jac. And there's also like Jac has looked easy to jam at times.
Mm-hmm.
So, the hanging curveball he got from Eovaldi, he got to extend his arms. It was a little bit on the outer edge of the middle of the plate. And so you're like, okay, he got his arms extended. That makes sense. But then you throw him a changeup up and in. He's like, no, I can hit that one too. I don't have to extend my arms.
Nope, just get those hands around really nice and quick. And go ahead.
Kevin O'Brien over at Royals Keep had an article about Jac this morning where he pointed out that Jac's pull air numbers have been getting much better lately. He's been hitting the tar out of the ball for a couple of weeks now, but his pull air numbers are getting better, which you like to see. That's where those home runs are going to come from. And the thing that really I have to point out about Jac is this is a hot streak after a cold streak. So we talked about last year, he had kind of an unlucky streak to start the year and it wrecked him. And then he started playing poorly. Well, he had kind of a cold streak. It was not necessarily an unlucky streak. It was a cold streak, but he found a hot streak after that. So that should give him confidence that, okay, just because they catch that one doesn't mean they're going to catch the next one. It doesn't mean I suck now. And hopefully that means that we're going to start to see more of this Jac going forward.
Yeah, hopefully so. And he has set a very high bar for himself over the past month. So in 21 games since May 15th, Jac is slashing 310, 395, 521 with 7 extra base hits and 10 RBI, good for a 916 OPS.
And people will say, he's still striking out a lot. And I will say, he's got a 400 OBP. He can strike out as much as he wants.
Correct. And like that's something that is a balance. Like one thing does not mean a high strikeout rate does not usually mean that you have a high OBP, but you can have a high strikeout rate and a good OBP. There are some players who make it work.
There's always concern when you see someone with a high strikeout rate of, are they going to stop hitting the ball sometime soon? And I think Jac is just a guy who's going to swing and miss sometimes because he's got a big swing. But as long as he's hitting it hard and he's willing to take his walks, and by golly, he had a terrific at bat, that 11-pitch walk that you mentioned against Eovaldi, where he refused to strike out. He said, you're going to keep throwing it on the edges. I'm going to keep fouling it off until you give me a meatball or you give me ball 4. And he
Absolutely.
got ball 4. And then the next at bat, he got a meatball. So it's working. And there are some guys out there who strike out a lot, but still have a lot of success. I mean, Mark McGwire was someone who could hit the tar, and you could say he's on drugs or whatever, but he hit the tar out of the ball and he took his walks. He struck out a lot, but he did the OBP and he did the power. So you can, the strikeouts are not career-ending, career-threatening if you're still doing everything else right.
Yes, precisely. Also, huge shout out to Stephen Kolek, who went out there, pitched 5 solid innings. He did get knocked around for 8 hits, but all in all, only 1 earned run and 1 walk in there. And then the Royals bullpen came in behind him really strong and only allowed 1 run in 4 innings. And then Alex Lange, I mean, a guy who I'll admit, like a month ago, I was very vocally saying he needs to be off the team. Has absolutely turned it around, locked down the 9th inning once again, his 4th save in the last week, and first as a Royal in Kauffman Stadium.
He provided a perfect example of why he should be the closer right now instead of Lucas Erceg. because he walks that first batter on 4 pitches. That's something Lucas Erceg can do.
Mm-hmm.
But then he got 2 strikeouts.
Yep.
What Lucas Erceg does is he walks that batter, and then he can't strike anybody out. He has to hope he gets the outs on batted balls. And you don't always batted, as David Lesky likes to say, and as I've said before, but David says batted balls sometimes turn into hits. Strikeouts never do.
Precisely.
So that's what Alex Lange is bringing to the party right now, and it's honestly why he's a better closer than Daniel Lynch. I know a lot of people are still calling for Daniel Lynch to close. Daniel Lynch has bounced back from where I was getting concerned about the hits and the walks, the whip, basically. He's bounced back from that. He looks good again, but I want the guy who can get the strikeouts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Greg Holland and Wade Davis never walked anyone. They just struck guys out. I remember more than once Greg Holland walked the bases loaded and then struck out the side to get out of the game, you know?
Yeah.
When you can strike guys out, you can make more mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's something that Daniel Lynch has done better this season. He's still not a strikeout savant, though, when you look at the relief pitching group, if you will. But he still got another hold last night, his 8th hold this season, which is already a career high for him. Very, very impressive. Still limiting lefty batters to one of the best batting averages in baseball, just 125 this season. So a lot to like from Daniel Lynch. But yeah, hey, Alex Lange, we always talk about we want Matt Quatrero to ride the hot hand in the lineup, right? I mean, right now it seems like he's riding the hot hand in the bullpen at least.
Well, and I found his bullpen usage interesting last night because traditionally Q has tried to use a guy an inning. He brings someone in at the beginning of the inning. That guy's going to finish that inning. Bring someone into the beginning of the next inning. He started with Steven Cruz. Steven Cruz got 4 outs. Then Lynch came in and got 2, and then stayed in to get 1 more the next inning. Then Schreiber got 2. And also, we got to shout out the Cruz missile and John Schreiber. Cruz, man, when he is on, he is fun to watch, and he was on last night. So, and John Schreiber's been pitching better. I vocally called for him to get cut a while ago. I think as late as last week, I was like, I know he's pitching better. I still don't believe it, but I looked up the TJ stats on him. He's starting to get some strikeouts. He's starting to get some whiffs. He's starting to throw it in the strike zone some more. I have a hard time complaining about what John Schreiber's bringing to the team right now.
Yeah, I do as well. So here's something I want to focus in on a little bit, switching back to the lineup. So we've got 8 games in the month of June as we're sitting here recording this on the evening of June the 10th. The Royals are batting .253 with runners in scoring position, good for an .837 OPS. That ranks 6th in Major League Baseball in that span. It's a huge improvement for what they were doing through the end of May when they were dead last in the majors, was a .636 OPS. And, it's been fun Royals baseball to watch again. Of course, you go what, 6-2 in an 8-game span? Yeah, I'm going to want to tune in for those games. So do you think that the Royals can keep this up though, Jeremy, or are we going to get a little bit of regression back to what they were?
Well, that's where we go back to the discussion we were having on Sunday. I kind of will believe it when I see it. We're currently seeing it. I'm watching the games. I'm giving them an opportunity to show it to me. The Rangers are not a good team. The Astros are not a good team. If they, we said if they go 6-0, we still don't believe in them. And, if they go 6-0, I still don't believe in them. But if they go 4-2, okay, well, I'm holding off of the shoveling of the dirt on the coffin right now. Is what's happening. Is I'm saying I thought I heard some banging on that coffin lid. Let's give them a second. Let's make sure that they're really dead before we just completely bury them. So we'll see what happens. I'm not bought back in yet, but I live hope springs eternal. If you're a Royals fan, I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to believe that it could be happening.
Yeah. All right. So I want us to take our first break of the episode. Coming up on the other side, let's go ahead and talk about why the Royals front office is being pretty open about saying they still believe in what this team can do. Plus, we're going to talk about a new tool up on Baseball Savant, and I got to react to a pretty wild trade idea from Bleacher Report. So go ahead and stay tuned, folks.
Agents are getting smarter every day, but even the smartest agents get stuck without the right context and the right tools. That's where Notion comes in. With the recent launch of custom agents, Notion became the collaborative AI workspace where teams and agents work side by side. And now, the new developer platform is turning that workspace into infrastructure developers can build on. What's interesting is this isn't just about plugging into one tool. It's about bringing all your agents into one shared workspace where your whole team can actually collaborate. You can connect outside systems, sync in context, trigger workflows, and even orchestrate agents like Claude, Codex, or your own in-house agents directly inside Notion. Learn about Notion's developer platform today at notion.com/true-developer. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/true-developer. To try Notion's developer platform today. And when you use the link, you're supporting our show. That's notion.com/true-developer. Notion.com/true-developer.
Hey, so I primed those three things. Was there anything else that I missed that we needed to talk about? I don't think so.
Think so.
Okay. If there's something else that comes to mind, please grab the wheel, okay? All right. And we're back here on the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. Before we get back into the Royals talk, I do want to talk about someone who is near and dear to many Royals fans who have been around the team for a while, Jeffrey Flanagan, formerly of MLB.com. Our thoughts go out to him. He just announced today that in February, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He did say that there's a small spread, but he is responding well to hormonal therapy, and he began his 6 weeks of radiation this past Monday. And I'll add the explicit tag for his sign off on the tweet. Fuck cancer. So we're all behind you here, Flanny, and wish you the best of luck.
I don't think it counts when it's cancer.
Yeah.
When you say fuck cancer, that's not an explicative.
Fair enough.
That's just a reality.
It is. It really is. So, all right, back to the Royals talk real quick. So Jeremy was talking about, there might be some knocking on the inside of the coffin. Maybe there's a little bit of action going on. And obviously the Royals front office believes that. We talked about the Royals not being willing to be sellers quite yet on our last episode with Matthew Lamar. If you missed that discussion, please go back in your podcast feed and check that out. And Annie Rogers kind of doubled down on that sentiment when she talked to general manager JJ Picollo, who talked about, hey, there are so many teams still in this. If you look at where we are right now, we're 5.5 games out of the wild card race. Yeah,
you may have said 5.5. Sorry, but they are 4.5 as of this recording. Sorry.
Yes. No, you're fine. And he said the last thing we're thinking about is the trade deadline. Internally, we talk about what do we need for this team. It's been more about how we help the team rather than take guys off the team. I can't speak for all clubs, but it's going to be a year where you're going to get to the All-Star break to figure out where your team is at. So even though the Royals, as we sit here right now, they're more than 10 games under 500, but even the third team in the wild card race is 2 games under 500, the Toronto Blue Jays, who were just, they were one of the AL favorites going into this season. They're sitting there at 33 and 35. And, Jeremy, just hoping that it keeps going one way when you need all these teams ahead of you to lose, that's not a winning strategy.
Right.
The Royals need to take care of their business, and those teams need to lose. But I don't know. We could look at the Detroit Tigers, who were sellers at the trade deadline in 2024, but they went 31-13 down the stretch to get that postseason appearance.
I was also looking at the Blue Jays today, Jacob, because I was talking about, I wrote up a question of whether the Royals should consider trading Kris Bubic, which I think a lot of people are probably in support of, especially if the team's not very good. But I was like, what's a good comparison for trading for Kris Bubic? And I thought, that Shane Bieber trade from last year makes a little bit of sense because Bubic isn't as good as Bieber, but he's also probably going to be healthy when he gets traded. He has that history of injury. So I feel like there's some comparables there. And when I looked up the Bieber trade to make sure that I knew which prospect had gone back to the Guardians, number 4 pitching prospect for the Blue Jays. They're number 4 overall on the team. He's not great, but he was a high prospect in their system. I also saw that the Jays traded from their major league roster to add a prospect at the same time. They traded Will Wagner and got Brandon Valenzuela from the Padres. Now, Jacob, I don't know how closely you've been paying attention to the Padres. Brandon Valenzuela had to come up because Alejandro Kirk got hurt. And Brandon Valenzuela is not going back down when Alejandro Kirk comes back.
No, he's not.
He is having himself a rookie season. So one of those things that the Royals need to consider is maybe you're not a seller. Maybe you do buy. Maybe they win the next 10 and they go, okay, we're right back in this thing for real now. But you can, if you see an opportunity to trade, I would consider trading a Kyle Isbell if he gets healthy. We have to talk about that in a minute.
Yes, we do.
I feel like that would be a comparable to a Will Wagner, would be a Kyle Isbell, because you don't want to pay him next year anyway, probably.
Yeah.
And if you could get a Brandon Valenzuela back, that'll improve your team next year, right? So that's kind of my thought process is, they don't have to be buyers or sellers. They can do a little of both if the situation calls for it. Now, if they hit another losing skid, there's no more grace period. They've used more grace than we thought they had to begin with, but the AL sucks. But the AL doesn't suck enough for them to lose another 8 games in a row. So if they do that, they do need to be sellers, and they need to clean the cupboard of anyone who's not going to be here next year, and maybe some guys who could be here next year.
Yeah. All right. So to close out on this a little bit, Picollo also said later on in this interview with Andy Rogers that, they simply have to play better baseball. You catch a few breaks. We're going to play some teams we're chasing right now. But again, it's day to day. That's how he describes this situation. A month from now, we'll have a better idea. That's 30 games. A month from now, we'll have a better idea. But I think it's just so early to even talk or think about the trade deadline right now. So let's look at those 30 games, right? Royals are 28-39 right now as we sit here and record. I feel comfortable about them getting at least one more win against the Texas Rangers. But all that aside, let's look at 30 games. What do you think their amount of wins would have to be in a 30-game span for you to believe in them being true buyers at the trade deadline?
I think they'd have to be like 20-10, which still would get them to 500, but anything less than that and you've barely moved.
Correct.
And you're a month closer to the end of the season. I say that, and yeah, 20-10 is a big lift for any team over a month period, but especially this team. But also, like, there's not a lot of sense to try and trade to sell now anyway, or to buy, because no one else knows if they're sellers or buyers either. The only 2 teams that know that they're sellers are the Angels and the Rockies, and nobody in the American League knows that they're buyers except for the Rays, who don't buy, and the Yankees.
Yeah.
Who I'm not even sure what the Yankees would add at this point. They would add an Aaron Judge, but he's not available on the trade market. So
yeah.
I don't know. And the NL, I don't follow as closely, obviously, so I don't know what's going on over there as far as who's buyers and sellers. Cardinals could be buyers. They're in a playoff spot, but they got there by selling. Do they really want to buy? I don't know who thinks they need pieces and what all they need. The Cubs, I guess, need some starting pitching.
Yes,
hear that?
That's a great segue into our next thing. But before we make that move, I do want to point out we want to hear from you folks. Like, what do you think has to be the Royals' record over a 30-game span in the next month to make you believe in this team buying at the trade deadline? Is it 22-8, which I'm closer to than 20-10 even? Or is it, do they just have to tread water and hope for the best? I would love to hear what y'all's thoughts are. So make sure you drop us a line on social media, or you can comment on the RoyalsReview.com article where we will check it out.
The Spotify comments are back, but I don't know when they might disappear again.
Yeah.
The Royals Review article comments will always be there. So
correct.
If you want to make sure we can see them, put them there.
Yep. Agreed. So I wanted to talk about a pretty wild trade idea that I saw from Kerry Miller over at Bleacher Report. Thank you to Jeremy for sharing it with me last night. I was able to include it in this morning's Royals rumblings. And, you usually don't see the Royals on the buying side of these ideas. Usually it's the selling side. And that is the same case here with the Kansas City Royals sending not one, but two starting pitchers to the Chicago Cubs to bolster their rotation. In the Royals sending right-handed pitcher Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha to the Chicago Cubs, or infielder Jefferson Rojas, outfielder Kevin Alcantara, and right-handed pitcher Jackson Wiggins. Now, that is a pretty prospect star-heavy package for the Kansas City Royals. But that is also a big hit to the Kansas City Royals rotation for not just 2026, but 2027 and possibly 2028, who both Wacha and Lugo have club options for. Now, if the Royals are looking to reallocate some of their payroll, perhaps this is a move to consider. And who knows, the Chicago Cubs might be desperate enough to make a move like this. But Jeremy, just like a move of this scale with this prospect return just seems otherworldly. Like I don't foresee this being even in the realm of possibility, much less a probability.
Yeah, I mean, as the article headline I think was something like trades that would break the internet.
Yeah.
That would be a wild trade. To be clear, I would do that trade in a heartbeat. Yes, Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo have been stalwarts in the rotation, but when the Royals signed them, nobody thought they were rotation stalwarts. That's why they were available to Kansas City in the first place. I think you have to trust in Kansas City's ability to find some more veterans. You'd still have Reagans, Kolek, Cameron, and Bergert would be coming back halfway through next year. You could re-sign Bubic. I think if you did trade both of those guys, you would have to re-sign Bubic probably. And then you find another guy or two on the free agent market that you think you can coach up the same way you did Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha.
Mm-hmm.
I would do that trade. If the Royals think they're buyers, I would still do that trade because the prospects coming back would be huge. And the salary you'd clear would give you plenty of opportunity to add payroll in terms of starting pitchers. So I can't imagine the Cubs doing that trade unless they're even more desperate than I think they are. But those prospects look very tasty to me as a Royals fan, to the point that I would part with Wacha and Lugo. Even if the Royals were in competition, I'd say we'll figure it out with the rotation. Just let's make this happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another thing I'd love for folks to weigh in on. I haven't gone through all the rumblings comments yet today. I got home from work, sat down, started prepping for the podcast. I hope that some folks sounded off about that one because that was something I was not expecting to see. Another thing that Jeremy shared with me was the swing timing and miss distance leaderboard available up on Baseball Savant. Now, we got a pretty hefty sample size for this tool here, beginning with the second half of the 2023 season, where a lot of this bat tracking data started, where that's where we can pull from. And this is something that is in relation to the bat and the ball. Now, Jeremy, I'm going to go off the cuff here with a little bit of the explanation. If I have any holes, please feel free to fill in. The link that you sent me went straight to Seth Lugo, which was interesting and also highly concerning, I will say. So the question that this tool wants to answer is, where is the bat in relation to the ball? We talk about, opposite field hits and pull air and things like that. Well, where is the bat ahead or behind the ball? Like, that's how that's influenced. Or is it squared up, or is it just a pop fly? Like, is the bat over the pitch or under the pitch? Or is it tied, or is the batter tied up or flailing? You talk about those high pitches up in on Jac Caglianone. Well, that's pitchers trying to tie up Jac Caglianone, but usually he gets the bat to the ball in those situations and absolutely centers the bat to the ball. And this is, I think this is one of those things where we can see how different pitchers can deceive batters as well. I think this is a way that how we can help quantify some of that deception, because like this tells me Seth Lugo is not very deceptive at all, right? Like they batters are getting to him very, very well. But meanwhile, you got guys like Nick Mears, who the box score might not paint a pretty picture of, but he actually leads the Royals in average miss distance on the swing and miss. Batters are missing the ball completely by an average of 4 inches, which is one of the best marks in Major League Baseball. What do you make of this tool, Jeremy?
So the average miss distance is the big thing that they're running with here, but there's a lot of interesting data on here, and actually I might even argue that that's one of the least interesting things on here.
Yeah.
The flawed swing percentage is another column on here that I really like. So those are going to be swings in which the batter whiffs and the swing is not any of lined up centered or on time. So you missed in all 3 dimensions, and so the higher that percentage is for the pitcher, the better that's going to be. Obviously, Daniel Lynch leads the way there with a 13% flawed swing percentage, and then the other one. Obviously, whiff rate is huge. That's on here too, so that's good to see. But the other one I found really fascinating, and I didn't understand it at first. I had to look at the tooltip for it. Was competitive rate. So
Okay.
this is the fastest 90% of a player's swings plus any 60 plus mile per hour swing, resulting in an exit velocity of 90 plus miles per hour. So it's a lot of words. Basically, that gives you the bounds. But the idea of a competitive swing is it's a good swing. They took a good hard swing at it. Even if they made that, and a competitive swing could be a flawed swing. You could miss all your timing on it and everything, as long as you took a good big swing at it. And what I found interesting here, and so actually the lower this is, the better it is for your pitcher. So Seth Lugo has a 93.2% competitive rate,
Yeah.
which means players are usually getting good swings at him.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean
Usually
they're hitting
so.
it, because again, a competitive swing can also be a flawed swing. But it's the batters feel comfortable against Seth Lugo, even if they don't always succeed.
There
The
you go.
interesting thing to me is that the guy with the best competitive rate on the Royals is John Schreiber.
Yeah, I know, right? I was very
People do
surprised to see
not
that.
feel it's that sidearm. They don't feel comfortable against him. And I don't know, obviously, even going back to All-Star break 2023, we don't have enough data to tell us how much of this is predictive, how much of this actually means anything. But these are interesting stats that I feel like if you get a lot of flawed swings, I would expect you to be pretty good. Competitive rate, I don't know, because obviously Seth Lugo is succeeding despite having a lot of competitive swings against him. Daniel Lynch is succeeding. That may be just a thing that tells you how comfortable a batter feels against the pitcher, more than it is how good they're actually lining up the pitcher.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find this page fascinating, which is why I sent it over to you, because hey, there's also a perfect contact percentage, which is, I think, a useful number. What's fascinating to me about the perfect contact percentage, if I can just interrupting myself, is Steven Cruz has the best perfect contact percentage on the Royals. They do not square him up very often. It's just when they do square him up, it goes over the wall. Lucas Erceg also he's basically tied with Steven Cruz in perfect contact percentage. But as we were saying with Alex Lange, if you get the bat on the ball, because his whiff rate is only 21.2%, you get the bat on the ball, some of those are going to turn into hits. And obviously we've seen Lucas Erceg give up a bunch of bloopers and balls off that knock his glove off his hand and end up in center field and all this stuff. So perfect contact means something. Flawed swing means something. I'm not sure if competitive rate does or not, but it's a fun stat. And so is the
Yeah.
average miss distance, especially if you go look at when I first clicked it, I got it from, I think it was Mike Petriello, shared it on his social media. Got to see the stuff for Mason Miller's slider.
Goodness.
The numbers on that were a lot of fun. So there's the StatCast is so cool, man. Baseball fans are so spoiled, because when I was a kid, all I had as far as stats was the newspaper and the box score of the newspaper and then the league leaders. That's it. I didn't have all this stuff.
No,
I knew how
no.
many RBIs some guys had.
It is. We are still finding ways to figure out how can we build the perfect baseball player, and Baseball Savant is trying to show who is actually a perfect baseball player. So go play around with this a little bit. There's a lot of other great tools and visualizers over there at Baseball Savant if you're ever curious. One thing that we would be remiss without talking about is the transaction that the Royals made today. The Royals announced today that outfielder Kyle Isbell has been placed on the 10-day injured list with left plantar fasciitis. And the corresponding move, well, former Mizzou star outfielder Cameron Meisner was recalled from AAA Omaha, and this is marking his first stint with his hometown team, the Kansas City Royals. Now, this isn't a just we had no better option sort of promotion. Seems like that Meisner has been knocking on the door for a good amount of the 2026 season. The Royals added him this offseason from the Tampa Bay Rays after they designated him for assignment. But Meisner is also coming off of a week where he was named the International Player of the Week for his performance from June 1st through the 7th, where he batted .417, had 3 doubles, 5 home runs, and 10 RBI and 8 runs scored himself. His 28 total bases in that week alone led all of minor league baseball. And this isn't just a fluke. He is, I would say, by far Omaha's best bat this season, and we're going to see what the toolsy set outfielder can do for the Kansas City Royals in lieu of Kyle Isbell. Now, Isbell was not in the lineup, so Meisner is not taking his spot, but I'm sure he will get his opportunity in due course. What do you think of this move, Jeremy?
I'm excited. I've been sitting here going, man, I wish there was room for Cam Meisner up here because I'd like to see. I've said it before. I loved the trade. The Royals gave, I don't remember who they gave up or if it was just money that they gave up to get Cam Meisner once the Rays DFA'd him. But he's got a lot of tools, and I really like the way he shows them off. He's got a glove. He's got some power. He's got some speed. The hit tools question, but he's been hitting. I am excited to see, can he translate it to the majors now? And I'm also excited because, like I mentioned earlier, Kyle Isbell, I feel like should be on the trade block, whether the Royals are competitive or not. Can Cam Meisner carry the load for a bit, or do we need to go straight to Carson Rockefeller? So that's I want to see it. I'm excited. Also, if Cam Meisner is going to hit the tar out of the ball, well, then you can finally shift Collins to the bench. You can probably go ahead and cut Marte, and maybe Collins gets some more work on the infield, and you can rotate him in the second base with Lofton and Massey.
Maybe so. That is certainly, I think that's a best case scenario outcome.
Yeah.
That the Royals should evaluate.
This is blue sky thinking. This is how could if this went as well as it possibly could, what would it look like? And it probably won't go there, but it's fun to dream about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you want a little bit more on the move, make sure you go check out royalsreview.com where you will get a little bit more of an insight. Personally, on the surface, I like the idea of just straight up pairing him with Lane Thomas for right now.
I think that's what'll happen.
Yeah, because Meisner has a 979 OPS this season against right-handed pitching. He's mashing right-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
So let's keep him in that role and see what he could do.
He's got the glove for center field.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that we're not going to miss Isbell's glove in center because we probably are, but he can do a perfectly credible job out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was one of his calling cards and one of the reasons why he was a first-round pick not too many years ago. All right. That's all we got on the Royals front. Coming up on the other side of the commercial break, we are going to go and hop into our Royals reviews. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. Now it's time for our reviews. Jeremy, have you thought of one to talk about today?
Still haven't come up with one yet. You better go first.
Okay, I'll go first. I will talk about something that we already talked about in today's podcast. I want to look at Bleacher Report. So I remember shortly after high school, I can't remember why, I was disenfranchised with ESPN as my primary sports news place. And I liked royalsreview.com, but SB Nation didn't really have a one-stop shop replacement for that. That's why I gravitated to Bleacher Report. And, I liked Bleacher Report. I thought that they put together good work. And, every now and then I would read some of the national things. And, years later, I can't say the same thing about the site. I mean, it is, for lack of better terms, some of their stuff is very shallow. It's not robust writing anymore. They've made a lot of forays into video and live streaming, and I get it. I get it. Like, that opens a door for a lot of folks who are very creative in those media, excuse me. I just wish that the writing would have stuck around. And, you know, I've heard not so good things about their processes and their being an employee or a writer over there for Bleacher Report. I haven't had the app installed on my phone in quite some time. And just after you sent me this article, scrolling around a Bleacher Report for a little while, I was just like, man, this is a shell of what I thought it was at one point. So if you want more like of a social aspect to your sports, I guess maybe Bleacher Report has something for you, but it is certainly not for me anymore.
Just go to Royals Review.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Feed the feed, Jacob.
Yeah, feed the feed. I gotta drop my voice every time I say that.
I go, feed the feed.
Feed the feed.
Just counter you.
No, feed the feed. All right, Jeremy, I tried to stall long enough, man.
Yeah, I thought of something. You
right,
almost actually stalled so long that I forgot it again. So, but that was a good review. This is probably going to be a little controversial.
Ooh.
My review is on Amazon Pharmacy.
Okay, all right.
So I have some of my medications shipped to me through the Amazon Pharmacy, and I gotta say, I find it to be exceptionally convenient to not have to drive to a pharmacy. And whenever there are prescription questions, they will reach out to my insurer and to my doctor on my behalf. I don't have to do anything. It'll probably, we've already gone explicit here. It'll probably be in shitified at some point, but right now it is a product that I find extremely helpful in making sure that I have my medications. So shout out to Amazon Pharmacy, which also has some of my medications in stock that aren't always in stock places.
Yeah. Also, congratulations to Royals owner Patrick Mahomes, who is now flush with cash, as we put out on the Royals Review Twitter, getting a lot more money added to his contract with the Kansas City Chiefs. Total value now surpassing $500 million. That is with a B, ladies and gentlemen.
$500 million from now, because the original contract was already $500 million, right?
It was close to it. It was close to it. Oh, wait, no, I think it was past it, but now just from 2026 to 2033, excuse me, alone, it is worth $504 million.
Should have been a quarterback, Jacob.
Should have been. We made mistakes trying to be first baseman, huh?
And podcasters.
But hey, I like Pop-Tarts, so there's nothing wrong with that. Alrighty, folks, we're going to get on out of here. Hopefully, by the next time you hear us, we're going to be talking about the Kansas City Royals getting a series victory over the Texas Rangers, and then following that up with another against the visiting Houston Astros. If you want to keep up to date with all the things we're doing, RoyalsReview.com. Our social media links are down in the podcast description below. Best way, follow and subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to us at right now. I am Jac Milham. They're Jeremy Greco. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, go Royals.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.